Xiaomi 15 does have a better hardware than the Galaxy S25, like a larger battery capacity, but hardware is not always everything, and one can argue the more mature software of Samsung can compensate for less of what you get on the S25. To put that into the test, I'm going to do a day in the life comparison of the phones after 7 months of their release while cycling from Thun, a city in Lower Australia, to Vienna, capital of Australia. We started the day before 10 in the morning, while both phones were connected to the same 5G network. And as you can clearly see, the Xiaomi 15 is larger than the S25, but also heavier. The Xiaomi 15 screen, in my opinion, looks better and sometimes brighter in adaptive brightness compared to the S25. And I really wish that Samsung had used their better M14 display instead. We took the bikes and started our journey in the center of Thun. The Xiaomi 15 has a larger camera sensor, but when there is enough light, you can hardly see a difference between the two phones. It also has a larger telephoto sensor, but that also wouldn't create a meaningful difference. At least in this 3x zoom picture, even if we try to pixel peep or just peep in this case. We arrived at a very nice cafe in the center of the town to have breakfast, and we also decided to play a game of Yahtzee while coffee was getting ready. Right now, both phones are at 97%, and as you can see, they are bright enough even under direct sunlight. The food picture taken with the Xiaomi 15 is more vivid, even though it was taken with Leica Authentic mode. We finished the game too, and I totally crushed my opponent, as you can see, 297 to 183. As you know, Yahtzee is a game of skills, not a game of chance. Now both phones are at 95% battery, and I put both of them to navigate our way to Vienna using an app called Komoot. As a side note, the back of the devices could not look more different. When my friend saw the Xiaomi, she was like, "Oh, is it really like a Leica camera?" To which I replied, "Not really. It is Leica branding, which means the color science of the Xiaomi 15 is being created with the Leica team, and it has its own unique color profile." If you don't know, Leica is a famous camera brand with very expensive cameras. The Samsung Galaxy S25, on the other hand, has its own unique color science. After all, Samsung used to be a camera company too. One problem I have with the S25 though is that sometimes you get these ugly flares, and every single time I see a comment saying I should clean the lens, believe me, I do. It is more to do with the coating of the camera lens. We arrived at our next destination for another coffee. Overall, I wouldn't say there is a very obvious difference between the video here, and both also have nice stabilization. There is a bit of a color difference though, especially if you look at the sky. The Galaxy appears to have a bit more green in the tone, while the Xiaomi looks more purple. Also, Xiaomi's overall processing it a bit better in my opinion, but write down in the comments if you agree with me. Right now, both phones are around 91% battery left. While sitting to rest, I also decided to play some YouTube in the background on 5G on both phones, just to drain the batteries a little bit. Then we took the bikes again and passed through these beautiful fields next to the Danube River. The Galaxy still does suffer a bit from lens color and position shift when you punch in. It is better in OneUI 7, but still not perfect. As I said, the Xiaomi 15 has two main camera modes, Leica Vibrant and Leica Authentic. Here, I took the photo with Leica Authentic, which by default I use throughout the whole video, because as you can see in this second picture, the Leica Vibrant is just too vibrant for my taste and a bit saturated. Both phones can zoom up to 30 times into the subject. The Galaxy does more sharpening, while the Xiaomi does more smoothing. The Xiaomi can go even further to 60 times, but at that level, the picture is not looking that great. Also, Xiaomi does lots of denoising, which makes the sky look less bandy, but at the same time, everything looks like there's a halo around it. On the ultrawide lens, the quality is comparable, just that the colors are again different, and here the Galaxy is again more towards green, while the Xiaomi has a bit more yellow tints to it. For my taste, I do prefer the Galaxy photo. It is more natural, I'm not a big fan of how I look on Xiaomi, especially since it makes my face too orange. We arrived at the third cafe of the day, and this time we are going to have a bit of a late lunch. Right now, it is around 3 p.m. and the Galaxy is at 71%, while Xiaomi is at 72% battery left. The same story as last time. Xiaomi has more vibrant colors and is more exposed, while the Galaxy is less exposed and has more accurate colors. On the 10x zoom, the Galaxy is sharpening the picture, while Xiaomi is ironing things out. That also kind of applies to the video here with 10x zoom, and I should say I don't necessarily see a huge benefit of a larger sensor size of the Xiaomi telephoto lens here. Also, both phones are small, so they tend to heat up more than the larger ones. Here, both of them got over 40 degrees Celsius, which is 106 degrees Fahrenheit, after taking those pictures and videos. We also played another round of Yahtzee, and I lost, and as you know, Yahtzee is a game of chance, not skills. We were getting closer to the city of Vienna, so we encountered more and more cyclists along the way. We also had to go through this nice but challenging gravel path. We arrived home, and after 32 kilometers of cycling, which is around 20 miles, at 5 p.m., the Galaxy is at 62%, while Xiaomi is at 63% battery left. I took a selfie of myself, and I do look too orange on the Xiaomi again, and on this indoor shot, I again look orange on the Xiaomi, but the quality of the photo is much better on 3x zoom. We can also test the selfie camera and microphone next. Now let's check the selfie camera and also the microphone quality. Right now we are on the Xiaomi 15 on the right side. We are checking the microphone quality of the Xiaomi 15 on the right side of the screen. Now we are switching to the Galaxy S25. We are checking the sound quality of the Galaxy S25. Also, the sound is echoing because the room is empty. Now at 7:40 p.m., the Galaxy is at 47% and the Xiaomi is at 49%. Just a reminder that Xiaomi battery capacity is 5240 for the global version, while the Galaxy is 4000. Both phones are sporting the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, but the Galaxy has a custom version of it with a higher clock rate. And it means if you run the Geekbench test, you get a higher score with the Galaxy. But I doubt you will notice the difference in real life. The Galaxy S25 here is running OneUI 7, but we should get OneUI 8 soon. The Xiaomi is running Android 16 already. Both of them go to the quick settings by swiping from the right side, and both have a transparent background. There are a few differences between them here and there. For example, the recent apps on the Galaxy are stacked on top of each other, while on the Xiaomi, by default, they are next to each other. The other difference is that you have something similar to Dynamic Island on the Galaxy, which pops up the music you are playing on the top left side of the screen. You also get more volume settings on the Galaxy, at least in the quick settings way. On the other hand, one thing that I like about Xiaomi and HyperOS is that when you are on the video call, you can control the noise cancellation settings. I put both phones to talk to each other via Google Meet, and I also ran the application that I wrote to measure the temperature. The Galaxy S25 for sure raised the temperature much faster than the Xiaomi 15. And one of the main reasons is that the phone is simply smaller. By the end of this part of the test, the Galaxy S25 reached 28% and the Xiaomi 15 reached 35% battery left. I then went outside to take pictures of this pond at night. Both of them more or less have a similar quality. The Xiaomi picture is a bit sharper, mostly because the sensor is larger, so most likely the camera needed a higher shutter speed. If we use the telephoto lens, the Xiaomi is also doing a better job here compared to the Galaxy, and the white balance is better. On this picture, the color science is vastly different. The Galaxy has a very warm tone and Xiaomi has a very cold one. The reality was something in between and neither really nailed it. Here at the 10x zoom in absolute darkness, again, the style of the picture is different. The Galaxy is more realistic, but in the Xiaomi one, you can see more of the scene. I went back home and now the Galaxy is at only 6% battery left while the Xiaomi is at 16%. But if you consider that the Xiaomi has a 31% more battery capacity than the Galaxy S25, the result is not that great. I mean, yes, the Xiaomi screen was usually a bit brighter than the Galaxy on adaptive brightness, but that doesn't mean the phone uses 30% more battery. Overall, I found the Xiaomi 15 a very decent phone. I recommended it to one of my friends, and he's also happy using it. It has better hardware all around compared to the Galaxy S25, but on the other hand, the Galaxy S25 is more compact, lighter, has a lot of useful software features, and I personally prefer my skin tone on it compared to what I get on the Leica colors from the Xiaomi 15. If you want to see how the S25 compares to the iPhone 16, you can watch this video next. Thanks for tuning into TechMo, and I will see you in the next one.